everybody, welcome back to the Geekscape TV YouTube channel. If you recognize these three beautiful faces, it's because you probably watched our breakdown of the Scream films. And we promised at the end of that when the final, not the final, the next Scream movie came out, we would sit down and share our thoughts. I'll admit that I saw it opening weekend and haven't seen it since, because we were supposed to record this way sooner than we did. So my memories of the movie are already starting to disintegrate into the sky. And if you haven't seen the movie, you should stop this, because I assume we're going to spoil the shit out of the movie. And I'll let the rest of you at least state your, like, should people see this movie or not? Kick off, and then we'll dive into all of it.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I was going to say the same thing. Me and Jimmy saw it opening night, first time. Like the first time you're allowed to go see it. So yeah, it was amazing, and you should definitely go see it. I was like losing my mind the entire time. It was so good. But agreed, meant to see it multiple times since that, and just things kept coming up. So I don't remember anything, but I remember that I loved it. So
you better remember something if we're going to be talking about it.
I got nothing.
But yeah, I agree. I liked it a lot. I'm sure at some point we're going to rank them, and then I guess we'll talk about that. But nostalgia trip city, freaking really loved that. But it was a good movie. It really was. I was glad we got to see it on the first night it came out. We were actually a little surprised that there wasn't that many people there for opening night, but it did do well.
That's the crazy thing, is so many people I knew were saying, hey, I went and saw it and there wasn't that many people in the theaters. And then you see the box office numbers and you're like, well, somebody was seeing it.
Yeah. Exactly.
I saw it the next morning. Technically there was a Thursday screening, but like Friday was the official day. I saw it Saturday morning because I was like, I stayed off Facebook for a day because I was just so nervous. But Scream fans are actually pretty good. I still, even after seeing it, haven't seen too many people spoiling anything about it online, which is great.
Can we start spoilers now?
Well,
everyone get out.
Yeah, everyone get out. Don't watch spoiler. We're going to start spoiling.
Here.
But I'll tell you what, Jimmy, you mentioned the idea of ranking these movies, and I don't think that there is a franchise that is harder for me to rank, because it's kind of just like, I know that the first one is my top, and I know that part 3 is at my bottom. And then I really think the middle is just all tied for 2. Like, these are all really good movies.
I was totally going to say 1's here, the next couple are here, and then 3's down here. And it's so down, it's off the screen, you know, but it is very tough. Like, it's 1, and then 2A, 2B, 2C, 3.
Yeah,
like you're the fucking king of 2B, 2C.
Yeah.
I can't.
But I do have an answer. Like, once we bring it up, I do have an answer.
Okay. I'm just saying, I don't think as much as I love horror franchises, I can rank so many of them easier than I can rank the Scream franchise. That is
definitely tough, and this one was tough. We'll get into it when we rank.
We got to see it more than once. Like, I'm obsessed with 4 because I watch it so much. I mean, it was amazing from the jump, but I already feel nostalgia about Scream 4, and that's like was the last one up until 2 weeks ago. So, you know, I don't know. I think when you watch 5 more, it's gonna like creep up. I think we're biased, but
we also have to watch it not in a theater. But let's talk before we even dive into the movie. Obviously, we all like the movie. I had two things that bothered me while watching the movie. I want to kind of go over, was there anything that bothered anybody else? And I'll start with my 2. My number 1, was there anybody working in that fucking hospital like once in that entire movie?
Right, I know. Totally.
Agreed.
100%. It's literally like what is that? Halloween 2?
Oh, it's like, where are the employees anywhere in this hospital?
Agreed.
Especially with it being taking place like in modern day, like it totally. Yeah. At least Halloween 2 took place on Halloween, where there's actually like it's a holiday, so maybe you could say people aren't there. But Scream, 100%, there should be employees.
Survivor of what seems to be a copycat killer. Like, you're not going to make sure that entire floor is like packed and staffed at all times to keep an eye on this room.
Just one security guard,
cop
or whatever.
God forbid if she started to flatline. There's not even a nurse to take care of anything.
Just a dead security guard. That's it.
My other complaint is still, I'm going to gently say this because I don't want to, it's a big time spoiler, but I spent an absurd amount of time trying to do math to figure out if a character's age made sense with information that was dropped. It did. The math did ultimately check out, but I spent way too much time during that movie being like, all right, 1996.
Yeah,
Dude,
yeah. How old? Now, how old? Yeah.
Yeah.
What
Yeah.
did you guys? Did you guys have anything else? I know those were my two big ones.
I'm gonna save my hot takes for the end so people don't get
Yeah,
mad
Kathleen
at
has
me.
a hot take that I actually don't like, so
Oh,
we'll
I'm
talk
excited.
about it.
I'm
Yeah,
excited
we'll
because
talk about it.
usually
We
I'm Team
agree.
Kathleen on her hot
Yeah.
takes. We'll see if that
Yeah.
continues.
My one thing was the scene where our main character gets attacked by Ghostface in the hospital.
When she's like in the break room.
Yes. When
Okay.
she's in the break room, she gets attacked in the break room, and obviously this is when we're first finding out that she's taking antipsychotic meds. So I guess it is up for interpretation if she actually was attacked or she was hallucinating Ghostface. But I think we're supposed to assume she was attacked, and it's very similar to like the school bathroom scene where it's like, okay, you're in this hospital and somebody puts on a Ghostface outfit and literally tries to kill you, and then rolls out, and then you go, oh my God, somebody tried to attack me, and they're gone. That was just one thing that bothered me a little bit.
So, you know what? Let's get into the spoiler stuff a little bit because I'm gonna say a few things about that scene actually because that does trigger a couple issues that I do have with the movie. Is in this movie we find out that the character of Sam is the daughter of Billy Loomis,
Yes.
and because of that, we get these awkward CGI faced Billy Loomis ghosts that keep popping up. And I feel like I could have done with maybe one of those in this movie. They really were pushing this Billy, almost like a weird redemption arc at one point.
Yes, because
Kathleen has,
at the end of the movie, I was like, I looked at Jimmy, I'm like, are we supposed to like Billy Loomis now? Like, is he a protagonist in this film? I'm confused. But I mean, like when he first showed up, my first thought was, how did they keep this under wraps? How did they keep Skeet?
I had no
being in this
idea.
movie
I
under
really,
wraps?
and I usually we know that kind of stuff.
Well,
Yeah.
because people were all about the Matthew Lillard thing because apparently
I think that's still on the table too.
I didn't know that while doing research for another podcast. I didn't realize that Matthew Lillard has appeared in almost every Scream movie as a small uncredited cameo because they always want that on the table to play the Stu is still alive card if they can, and that be like a thing.
I can't imagine if we get 2 more sequels. Say they want it to go to 6 or 7. Say you want to turn 5, 6, 7 into a trilogy. I can't imagine Matthew Lillard, meaning Stu, isn't a part of it.
How would he possibly be alive? How?
Well,
they
he
just
was gigantic.
Yeah, smash his face, and he better have some bruises like that last forever.
He should be like Two-Face. Like,
yeah, he should be like squished up.
They should just
Just
recast him
face.
and be like, no, that's Stu. His face got smashed.
Here's my really, really stupid pitch that I made kind of as a joke, but I love it, is Sam has never met Billy, right?
Right.
And I would assume that her only exposure to the actual Skeet Ulrich Billy Loomis is the occasional photo that might show up on like a true crime doc. So I was like, it would almost make more sense if when she sees Billy Loomis that it would be Luke Wilson because she only knows him through like the Stab movie.
Yeah,
Wow.
that would be hilarious if they did that.
That is so good.
Wow, if they did that, only we would appreciate it probably, but it would be so good.
So fucking funny. I think that the only time that I would have wanted the Billy Loomis ghost around her would have been the scene when she's in the car after everyone accuses her of possibly being the killer because she's Billy Loomis's daughter. Like that would have made sense to me. Like, oh, she's like having this imaginary conversation because she's like, did I do this and not realize it? I don't fucking need ghost Billy Loomis being like, see that gun? Go get that gun, girl.
Yeah. I love the line that she pulls off before the big finish, which we'll talk about later. But yeah, I don't need Billy telling her, go do this, go do that. You know, it was a cool reveal
for me. I don't.
Right. Yeah.
She doesn't need a dark passenger in this.
Yeah,
movie.
exactly. I mean, it was a cool reveal the first time you see him, but yeah, I agree. Once or twice would have been good enough. And again, you know, the CGI was kind of hilarious because it's just Skeet Ulrich, how he looks now. Just give him like the little bang things and take some of them.
It's bad.
Do our best.
Yeah, it was not the best, but I was fine with that. But the other thing that bothers me in that hospital scene, and it kind of bothers me throughout a chunk of the movie once you know who the killers are. In most of the Scream movies, one of the things that they do that's kind of subtle but brilliant is that they usually cast two actors who are basically the same height to be the
Yeah.
killer,
Yeah.
but there's such a height difference.
Yep. On
And
this
the
one.
fact that the taller of the two is more often there as a red herring friend, I'm like, there's no way. There's no way that this one is doing the things.
Yeah, is
Like,
doing the things. I hope. Yeah, and she is she the one? Like, all right, how spoilery?
let's get into it. Let's talk about who the
You
killers
know,
are.
All
So
right,
if you
I mean,
haven't
let's
watched,
do
yeah.
it. Yeah,
Yeah.
we're here.
Yes.
We're doing it. Okay.
All bets are off.
Obviously, we get to the point where we find out the killers are Richie and Amber. Okay. Now, my biggest problem, and again, when I say biggest problem, I love the movie, so it's not a huge problem. But I thought that it was pretty obvious throughout the whole movie that it was Richie and Amber. If you really are just thinking about
Yeah.
what the deal is,
I-
I was waiting for a third person because I was just so not surprised by who they chose to be the killers.
I went through this whole thing where I posted a joke about it online too, but like every character that shows up in any of these movies, I'm always like, they did it. Like,
Yeah,
like
yeah,
just
yeah.
immediately.
And obviously,
Yeah.
our boy Dewey calls him out in the first second he sees him.
Yeah.
Well, that's because
Always the
Dewey's
love
a
interest.
fucking great cop. Like,
Yeah,
I'm
he knows
okay
what's
with
good.
Dewey spoiling exactly who the killers
Yeah.
are right out the gate because that's how good he is at this. I'm okay with the fact that it's kind of obvious, even though I love the Scream movies for the like who done it aspect of the movie. I feel like so much of this film is like a celebration of fans and being able to do that I feel like they didn't even try to not make Amber seem like the guiltiest person on the
Right.
planet. Like I almost feel like they didn't even want to waste their time with like too much whodunit in this one and
Yeah.
just be like, look, you're Scream fans, you know how this plays out. You're probably going to guess this and just kind of went with it.
Yeah, and I even said to Kathleen after the movie, I was like, maybe it wasn't that obvious Amber was part of it. Maybe it was, but I was just like, she just looks sketchy the whole time.
The
Her
whole
actress
time.
to me just looks
Yeah.
sketchy.
Okay, I'm not going to get into my hot take yet because I'm going to talk about all the things I love first, but she is such a good killer. Like, I love
she was great. Yeah.
I mean, I love her in Better Things. Anyone who hasn't seen Better Things on Hulu, this cast was so fucking good. Like,
So good.
when-
Richie, Hugh from fucking
First of
The
all-
Boys, you kidding me?
first
Hell
of all-
yeah. Hell yeah.
first of all, Judy, devastation about her dying.
I know, it's a
And
shame.
she's so annoying in the fourth one. And then you get a little sticky note that says lemon squares on the
And
thing.
you start
And
crying.
I want to
up.
die because I'm like, he better not open that door and see her dead. I'll be so upset. Dylan Minnette from 13 Reasons Why, so good. All the like missed scares of the opening doors closing them and no
Oh
one
my God.
being there.
Yeah.
So tense. It
So
was so
tense.
good.
Yep.
So good. Jasmine Savoy Brown, who plays Mindy, who
Yeah,
is like
Mindy.
obviously Randy as two twin niece and nephews that are amazing and perfect,
good.
and I love them.
And I love that they survived. I love that
Yep,
they're
I
like,
agree.
Oh, wait,
Oof.
I have to say this. Well, let me finish that thought. She's incredible in Yellow Jackets. She's also gay in Yellow Jackets, and she's gay in this. I love that for her, and she's gay in real life, so I love that. Anyway, me and Jimmy on the ride in, I said, let's do a death count. What do you think? And he said
Yeah.
5. I said 7. 5 was always going to be too low.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And by the end of the movie, it was 9. And then when the twins survived, I was like, yes.
so let me say this element too. So we're diving into some again. We're spoiling the shit out of this movie at this
Yeah.
point.
Mhm.
R.I.P. Dewey. Like
Yeah.
we lose Dewey. I think it needed to happen, guys. I hate to
I
say it.
called it beforehand.
There was
yeah.
I just knew that one of the three main characters had to die at this point.
No, you
And-
didn't, Jimmy.
And
I called it in the
here's-
car, Kathleen.
You said Courtney was going to die, and I said there's no way it would have to be
No.
Dewey.
Kathleen
Yes, you did.
thinks just because we're on video and it's being recorded that she can call me out.
That's not true because you were like, one of them's going to die, and you were like, maybe it's Gail. And I was like, it's not Gail. They're not going to kill one of the girls. 2 final girls. 2.
So here's the thing that I feel walking away from this movie, and I hate saying this, right? Like I hate saying that I don't want to see my friends anymore, but like
Yeah.
I could live in a happy world if Scream 6 doesn't have Nev Campbell and Courtney Cox in it at this point. Like
Kathleen, what did I say at the end when we were
Exactly
walking
that.
out? That's what
Yeah.
I said.
especially now that we know that Nev has like 2 kids, like I don't need this mom who's got like let fucking Sydney have her happy life. I love that they left us in a situation where now we've got the Tara Sam story with the Randy twins, and they can have their like Scream related adventures and don't need to call like 50, 60-year-old people to come help them anymore. Like, I think that like the torch was like properly passed. I mean, it's the downside of when you build an entire franchise around the same Survivor Girl for 4.5 movies. Like, it sucks to say, like, I don't want them in the movies anymore, but like, I like this cast so much that I am genuinely ready to like see that move.
Scream 5 started. I mean, we got almost half the movie without Sydney, and it was fine.
I thought she was going to be a cameo. I literally thought she wasn't going to show up beyond the part where she answered the phone call with Dewey and was like, I will never come back into that town.
Yeah, my biggest hot take coming out wasn't necessarily like I'm done with Sydney, Gale, and Dewey. Like, I would be okay if they need their cameos, but not to be a central part. But my thing was I'm starting to get tired of it having to always go back to Sydney with this story. You know, how many more times? Like, they did fine. Like, they got Billy's daughter and added her into it. And then I loved the reveal of why the two people were killers. But what are you going to do next? There's really nothing else to connect to Sydney anymore.
Richie's mother.
Right? Like, I mean, and then unless you do Stu, I mean, there was, you know, like major rumors that Scream 3 was going to have.
The idea that Stu has been secretly alive
for
just the last four movies and no one has mentioned it is fucking crazy.
There's one that I heard that Scream 3, there was like a rumor that it was being written for a second about like a cult to Ghostface. And like Stu was like who they worshipped. And he doesn't even necessarily need to be in it. You can make Scream 6 have it be something like that. And I think that would be sweet because when you say cult, you would have multiple Ghostfaces.
Oh, I'm ready for like a squadron of like 20 Ghostface.
So I went to dinner with a couple of friends who are also obsessed. Both of them are obsessed with Scream. And my friend Kevin had said two things that I didn't catch, two Easter eggs. One being that when Sid is saying Mark and the kids, she's talking about Detective Kincaid from the third one, which is Patrick Dempsey.
That went right over my head during the movie.
Fucking incredible. I mean, I know him as Kincaid. I don't know him as Mark Kincaid. You know what I mean? So that didn't
they don't
click
bring
at
him
all.
up as being together in 4, right?
No, but you know what's funny is that once they said that, for a while, like on the ride home, like later that night, I was thinking like, who could Sid ever trust? Like, how does that go? I'll watch that rom-com. You know what I mean? It's like, oh my God, I've been almost brutally murdered so many times. How do I find love type deal? I'll watch that. And two, when Jack Quaid is on his phone, like watching Stab 8, and he's like talking shit on it, being like they're using a flamethrower or whatever the fuck it is. Apparently on the right side, there's an interview with Survivor Kirby, who is Hayden Panettiere's character in the fourth one. Who's
she
the best
must
character.
Return. She must return.
So that's fucking incredible for future ones. Like if you need someone to be like someone who's been through it,
the Randy,
and like,
the expert.
Yeah. I mean, they already have.
Well, they have the twins, but
Mindy. Yeah, the twins.
I think this movie is so much fun because we're the very fans that this movie kind of makes fun of. Like, we are going to nitpick about the movie, but it's a great movie. It is a great time. It feels like something that I say about watching the American Pie movies as well, but like these movies just feel like going home. When the dude outside the bar gets stabbed and you hear Red Right Hand just start playing on the radio, I'm just like, holy fucking shit, it's so good. It feels so good.
And they even had to figure out a way to make him related to the original movie.
Yeah.
Being Stu, what is that? He
like
was
Stu's cousin or something.
Aunt's son or something. Yeah. Or Stu's sister's son. Maybe nephew.
It was Stu's sister's son. Yeah. Every time something sick happened, which was a lot, me and Jimmy would just fist pump, like without even looking at each other. Just it was amazing. And so
this
one
was
of them,
the most
there was
brutal
like
Scream movies. This movie was.
Yeah, it was.
I was like
awesome.
It was awesome to a certain point, but Jesus, that first attack when they just stomped on the leg, I was like, fucking hell.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought you meant the Stu's nephew with the like in the neck quickly.
That was great. I mean, Richie, his kill was pretty gruesome through the neck. You see it go through, and I mean, even the going through the hand in the very beginning, You know,
That's
that
what I mean.
was
It totally makes sense that it's the guys who gave us Ready or Not, because like
yeah.
another
Yep.
movie that has like a couple moments where I like have to look away because I just can't, like Ready or Not.
When
I
she-
remember it's when she puts her
Yes,
hand.
yes.
Oh, I can't do it. I have to look
Yeah.
away when I'm watching that scene. But yeah, it's a tight movie. It's a fun movie. Something that even like as much as we trash talk Scream 3, like one compliment I have to give every Scream movie is, man, do they know how to do the killer reveal and that
Mhm.
person just becoming unfucking hinged for the next
Yeah.
30 minutes? Because I think the actress who played Amber in this movie takes the cake. She is
Yeah, she was
is
awesome.
second to Stu for me now on just completely fucking insane
Yeah.
once
Yeah.
they lose it.
She did very well. She really did. I
Yeah.
mean, again, like I said, the entire movie, I'm like, you're sketchy. But when she turned it on, I was like, I love you. Like, you're awesome.
And it's nice because she's not likable at all. She's being protective over Tara. And it is so funny because Jimmy says, like, oh, maybe they weren't so obvious. Every single thing was coming from Amber's phone. And the most logical thing is like she's like, she never even tried to explain it away. It's just
No.
all the texts and calls and stuff are coming from her fucking
Yeah.
phone.
Well,
Just someone
let me
cloned it. That was
let
what
me
they said.
bring
Someone
in-
must have cloned my phone.
let me bring in my plot hole here and see
Oh,
if
I have an
Matt.
answer.
Oh, you do have an answer.
It could have
Shit.
just been
Wait,
filmed.
whoa.
Wait,
Let me
hear
say
the,
it
yeah,
first,
let me hear the
Kathleen.
plot hole first.
You all right over there? When the movie starts, when the killer calls Tara, he shows her like a video of Amber doing her hair, like brushing her hair.
Mhm.
And he says, you know, she's just all by herself and I can go kill her and blah, blah, blah. And then they're talking. And then the next thing you know, the killer puts the knife up to the screen and says, see, here's the knife. I'm going to get her, you know?
Mhm.
And my question is, how do they do that unless it's majorly pre-recorded? Because Richie's supposed to be
Yeah.
with Sam in another
I mean,
town.
that was
at
my
the time.
assumption, pre-recorded.
It's
Yeah.
just majorly pre-recorded.
Yeah.
So it's
When
not
you-
supposed to assume it's live, I guess, because she's going to be attacking anyway.
Yeah.
So I guess that's fine, yeah. Because she
Yeah.
has to be the one attacking.
If he went to like a FaceTime, I would be like for sure. But
Well,
he
see, I took
sends
it
a
as
video.
FaceTime. Yeah,
Yeah.
I wasn't. Yeah, I must have missed it because I thought it was FaceTime. But it's a,
Yeah,
if
no,
it's a
he
video,
sends a
then we're
video
good.
to her that she clicks open.
Okay,
Mhm.
then we're good. We're good.
Yeah.
Yeah, when you first said that to me, Jimmy, I was like, that's a huge plot hole. He's in Montecito. Let's talk about the openings, the cold open, right? And
Yeah, go ahead.
so Tara's getting, obviously, like, getting the texts, getting the calls. I absolutely love that it's meta enough that, like, the opening of 4 had stab in it, right? All of them.
Mhm.
2 has stab, 3's in stab, 4 has all the stab movies. I love that in this one. They're like referencing the stab movies, like they're talking about the stab movies. She's like, "No, I like the Babadook." Like I thought it was so
yeah.
funny. Like just it's not like that is such like a cool girl like answer to what's your favorite scary movie. I love it.
I love that this movie, because don't get me wrong, I am the host of Horror Movie Night. Of course, I enjoy the occasional elevated horror, but like I love that kind of the whole message of this movie is like, yeah, those are fine, but like what's actually fun to watch? Like,
Yeah.
because like
And you
how many
can't-
times I've watched Hereditary? Once. Like that is it. I can still say it's a masterpiece. I will never just casually want to pop in Hereditary.
Agreed.
But you know how many times I've watched Freddy's Dead: The Final Nightmare? Like countless.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, totally.
When I was doing the kill count with Kathleen and I said 5, I was saying, remember, Kathleen, I said the 4 opening scene count because we're going movie within a movie within a movie. And I
said,
was saying they
"Yeah."
don't count. And I was wondering if they were going to do something like that in this. But I like how they kind of just went right to the point and didn't try to get us in this one. And it was just a phone call, brutal. It's always one of those things where they're doing like the unlock the door, open the door, or lock the door, unlock the door, lock the door, unlock the door. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I'd be freaking out right
Yeah.
now.
Me too.
Yeah, they did a great job with the tension in these scenes. Like what's always good about the Scream movies is that they balance that comedy and horror so well. Like the stuff that's supposed to be funny is funny, and the stuff that
Mhm.
is supposed to be unsettling is unsettling. And like there's there's no fear of just like flipping it like a switch
Yeah.
on that. You know what I mean? Like even in the first Scream movie, you cut to like one of the most horrific images of like Drew Barrymore dangling in a tree before immediately going into like this goofy ass conversation about PG-13 love versus R-rated love. Like,
Yeah.
like it's
Live her
so
alone.
it set this precedent that for the most part they've been able to maintain consistently throughout the films.
Speaking of comedy, let's talk about our boy Dewey texting Gail.
Oh my God.
When we find
Laugh
out that
out
Ghostface is
loud.
back.
The
I was dying
emoji?
laughing. Yeah. What is it? So it's Ghostface is back. Don't come here. Hope you're doing well, smiley face, or something like that.
It's out of control. It's so
Yeah.
funny.
Dude, Dewey is so good. This is the one line he's like, maybe you're the killer because that cut deep.
Oh, yeah. He's like, maybe you're the killer because you're a drunken cop. Yeah, and he's like, wow, maybe you're the killer because that cut deep. They did it. They did
This
very
was
well
funny.
with the comedy in this movie.
I will say that this is the first Scream movie I've cried at.
Oh my
but not
God.
specifically when Dewey died. I cried when Sid shows up and Gail is sitting there, and that's kind of their reunion, but they're crying over Dewey, and you feel it
Mhm.
because of course Dewey dies by going back and doing something stupid. Everyone's wearing a bulletproof vest.
He's
Dewey.
brave,
Yeah.
Kathleen.
I know, but he's brave in a stupid way.
He went
Nah,
out
he's
like
brave.
a hero. That's all that
Yeah.
matters. He made
Oh,
sure that people
He's the
survived.
best.
It's slightly less heroic that he
Yeah,
sent
now
the
he
killer
gets
down with
Amber.
his two main victims in the elevator.
Well, yeah. Also, it's Amber, and she literally, we're talking about inconsistencies with who the killer
lifts
is.
him in
She,
the
yeah,
air.
she lifts him up. But I will say that it was a really cool line in retrospect with her saying like it's an honor because
Yeah.
she's
An
obviously such
honor.
a big fan because
Yeah.
that's the point. She's a fan of the stab movies and of the whole situation. Of the lore of Woodsboro. So that was cool. But yeah, I mean, lifting him up, I mean, great kill. But
Oh my God.
now that you know who it is, you're like, oh man, Amber's got some guns on her.
Well, I mean, I actually cried. I cried just during the few seconds when Courtney Cox and David Arquette were talking to each other because it's like I can never separate Dewey and Gail from the real life David Arquette
Oh,
Courtney
yeah,
Cox
yeah.
relationship where I'm just like I just want you two to love each other.
Well, there's a picture that Dewey has of them young
Yeah.
and kissing, and I was like, that's from their like personal collection. And they
Yeah.
didn't like take that on set of Scream. They were just like, hey, you got a picture of you two young? We gotta like stick it in because Dewey's obviously just like pining after you still. And the whole
Mhm.
situation is sad. Like he couldn't do it. He couldn't go away. He had to be in Woodsboro. He couldn't like be her sidekick while she goes and lives her dream. And he left her in the middle of the night. And obviously she's fucked up about it too. She loves him so
Yeah.
much. And then they get that conversation and then he dies.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
You were listing a few of the Easter eggs. Did you catch the last thing she says before he shuts off the TV when he's watching her in the trailer?
I did, but I forget what it is. It says it's
She said something about her bangs. Don't
Yeah.
ever
Oh,
let
yeah,
me
yeah,
get
yeah,
those
yeah.
bangs
Period.
again.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Uh-huh.
I want to hear Kathleen's hot take if we haven't already.
I feel like you might have. Okay, so you have a really hot take, and then you have another hot take.
My tempered take is this. I wasn't really rooting for Sam in the way I was rooting for the rest of the cast. Like I didn't like her as and she's our Sid, right? She's supposed to be like ride or die for this bitch. Any of the other cast members, I was like, I'm fucking in of this new like kid show. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
she's
group, yeah.
older with Richie and the rest are the same age. So it was kind of like they were the cool group. Like when Dewey shows up and they're in Randy's, first of all, Randy's sister cameo, best thing in the fucking world. So good. Obsessed with her. But that was a great scene. The scene where he says that cut deep is such a good scene. And it's like
Mhm.
Sam's just boring. I'm like, is your personality that Billy Loomis is your fucking dad? Like, I need
Yeah.
something else. And
Yeah.
like I don't
And
I don't know. I don't know.
And I
I-
don't think
I-
that's against the actress. I think it's just against the writing for the act,
Totally.
for the character. I hope in the future that Sam is obviously a part of it, but I'd rather Tara be the main character.
Well, that's what I was going to say is I think if we're looking at the cast through the lens of what Scream was before it. Like, if we're going into, say, Scream 6 being similar to Scream 2, so it's at a college campus, like, Sam's not going to be at that college campus.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, it's going to be Tara and the twins, maybe, and a couple of their friends they made. So, like, Sam is almost going to be more of the Dewey role of, like, the older protective sibling. You know what I mean?
And
Like,
keeps
how
the ties
Dewey was
to the
like,
original situation,
like,
you know?
which I think is fine. I think that if that's the way that you do it, where it's like, this was Sam's Survivor Girl movie, and she kind of moves off into a different role, and we focus on Tara and her friends in the next film. I mean, based on how well the box office was, there better be a part 6, because holy shit, like, it's doing amazing. And also, just like, again, Radio Silence, man, they're fucking great. Like, everything that team has put together is good. So there's no one I would rather have helming 2 or 3 more Scream movies than those people. But I don't have a complaint with your template take. I want to hear the hot take.
Here
I want
it
to
is.
turn
It's the
up.
hottest
I
of
want to turn
takes.
up the fire for a second.
I like don't even want to say it. And I wanted to see it a few more times to see if my take changed. So here's my take. Jack Quaid. Huey from The Boys is the love of my damn life. You know what I'm saying? Richie, Jack Quaid as the sweet, funny, goofy boyfriend who's just like trying to like save himself. Good. Jack Quaid is the killer. Fell flat for me, man. I didn't believe it. I was like, you're too goofy, and I don't believe this. Like, I didn't see the screw come loose like I did in Amber, that I did in Richie. Like, I felt that it was like, I'm like, oh, give me more, lose yourself.
I almost wonder, so I don't disagree with you, but I almost wonder if it's not so much that Jack didn't turn up the heat as much as Amber fucking cranked that
11. Yeah.
Like, because you also, again, I compare her to the Stu and him to the Billy, because when you watch that movie, you've got Billy who's kind of like calm and relaxed as he's explaining all of his stuff. He's still a little like, you're like, okay, he's slightly unhinged. Like, you see that change when that neck crack happens. But like Stu's the one that's just like, it's a Scream, baby.
So here's my thing. There's a specific line, I'm gonna butcher it. He's talking to Sam, and he's like, didn't take me much to fuck you either. But he says it in this like goofy way where I'm like, if you take the Billy route and you're like Amber's losing her damn mind, and you're kind of just looking at her being like, didn't take much for this either. Like, you kind of have to. Like, it was almost like he was trying to be Stu as well, and like you said, not doing it as well, where he should have gone more Billy. That's just like fucking evil, like behind, like he's just like sarcastic and being like, I don't think you have to be one or the other, but it just fell flat for me. And I was watching it because I'm obsessed with him. Like, Jimmy's mad at this take, but like, he knows I'm obsessed with Huey. The whole time we were walking in, I'm like, Petit Huey, I can't wait to see him. Like, all this stuff. And I watch like rom-coms that he's in. Remember that rom-com?
Plus One.
Yeah,
with
Plus
Maya.
One.
Yeah.
Great. Love him. But sorry, Jack.
You know what? I don't think that's a hot take. I think that's valid. I think that is Amber just really fucking being a show stealer in those moments. I could have done without what seemed like the implication that Richie and Amber are also fucking on the side.
They
call each
are.
other babe,
she
like
says, hey,
a
baby.
lot.
Yeah. No,
they are.
They are.
I was like, oh, that's more unsettling than you're killing people. Is that dude is clearly like almost 30.
Yeah, I mean, my take with Richie was that you already said it, Kathleen. You really don't need one to be one or the other. Like, you don't need Richie to be Billy and Amber to be Stu. There are two people that are crazy fans that are trying to, like, they're taking it too far. So obviously they're both just unhinged crazy. So
but you could also, I would say the flip side of that is they could also, there's a movie called CB4 that Chris Rock was in, where it's about like him and these other dudes wanting to be rappers. And there's a scene where they put on Run DMC's King of Rock. And as they're in the car before the song starts, Chris Rock says, all right, I'll be DMC, you be Run. And like that's how I'm imagining it. Is like as they're going into it, these
I feel you
fans
there.
are like, "Yo, I'll be the Billy, you be the Stu."
Yeah,
like
I mean, they
beforehand.
100% were trying to give us the nostalgia trip of how the conversation was going and everything, and they were trying to replay it in their heads or out, not in their heads, actually replay it in real life. But I thought that he did well. Like I really did. Like I thought that whole conversation, maybe I was just like living in the nostalgia and I was loving it so much that I was just fine with how he was doing it. But I honestly thought when Kathleen told me after the movie she wasn't feeling it, I was like, whoa. Like I was way on the other end. Like I thought he did great. Like I thought Jack Quaid he's a good looking dude, but he's not Billy, right? And I take Billy and Stu to be like Billy's like the popular hot boy and Stu's the the weirdo. And again, I love Stu and Matthew Lillard's a good looking guy too, but he's not
He's not Skeet in
Skeet.
1996.
He's not Skeet. Exactly. So like when you look at Jack Quaid as Richie and you see Amber, I still see Jack Quaid in more of the Stu light. So I don't see him doing like the Kathleen's talking about the like whatever it was when she says fuck you and Stu or Billy would say we already played that game, you lost. Like I wanted him to repeat that line.
Yeah.
But he instead says like it was so easy for me to bang you or whatever he says. That line was more of like, all right, I guess I don't need that because I'd rather you just go more goofy and crazy. But yeah, I don't know. I liked him. I thought he did great.
I feel like, again, I'm also thinking of it from like a character standpoint where it's like, I don't know, we're all fucking hyper fans of Scream and we're pretty stupid because of it. Like, you know what I mean? Like we can't even have like a normal conversation without like, if we were sitting with somebody and there was an argument and someone in the argument said, "Hey, leave her alone," all three of us would be like, "Leave her alone." Like we can't control that part of us.
Yeah.
So I feel like the fact that they can't not go into these weird things where it's like everything that they're doing, they have to be thinking about it like, oh, this is going to sound so badass. And like, how many times do you think that you're about to say something that's going to be like the funniest thing in the room or like the thing that's going to like blow people away. And then you get fucking crickets from it. Like, I think that still totally makes sense with them being like these hyper fans that are like, cause come on. I mean, I spent most of before COVID, I spent half my life in conventions and I can tell you, I love fans of stuff, but I love them to a point. Because like there's definitely a certain breaking point that you have with them. And like I think that they kind of nailed that aspect of fan culture. The only other thing I want to talk about real fast is I love how many times we have like the next level of meta of like people watching the movie version of Scream stab while that scene is playing out almost identically in the like it happens like 3 different times and I fucking love it every single time that it happens. It just tickles me.
Well, let's really quick bring up the fact that they did this reveal that we were in Stu's house.
Awesome.
Oh my God.
I had no idea.
No.
Now, hilariously, we talked about in our first Scream video that there's that promotion. I think Kathleen, was it you or Matt who brought it up, where they were letting you rent the Airbnb? It's Stu's house, which hilariously is a spoiler, but you still you didn't know it. Like they did so well at masking it until it was time to show it, and that was when me and Kathleen were fist bumping 500 times because. They walk in the front door. Oh, and they revealed Stu's house, and we fist bump. And then Gail and Sid are getting out of the car, and it shows the front, and me and Kathleen are fist bumping. And like,
but then Amber shows up, and they're like, "Do we believe her?" Or like whatever, and they're like, "Nah." She just like gets up and shoots Gail.
Dude,
like, fuck.
How about I can't even remember the girl's name, but the one twin's girlfriend that like everybody's like, she's too dumb to do this or whatever.
Yeah,
Chad's girl.
Yeah, Chad's girl. Dude, when
Liv?
Amber just pulls out the gun and is like, I know she's not the killer because I am, and just fucking right between the eyes.
Yeah.
It's like that got like a legitimate like Jesus out of me. Like, it was so fast. It's time to do the rankings.
Let's do it. Let's do it.
I can go first because I've got it.
Okay, do it.
It goes like this: 1, 4, 5, 2, 3.
I agree.
You almost had that.
I almost got it.
That's my answer as well.
And I think that as time goes by, I really do think 5 and 4 will probably be matched up. I think that I think that surprisingly, the jump from 3 to 4 felt huge and so fresh because it really was 1, 2, and 3 were shot so close together. It still seems old school. When you watch it, you feel like this was a different time. When I was a senior in high school and Scream 4 came out, I'm like, I am these kids. This is me. Like,
Yeah.
they're being funny. Like, the kids with the dorks with
GoPros,
the
yeah.
It got
the GoPros.
Yeah.
It was like, this is like new, this is fresh. They're like, Hayden Panettiere's character is like woke or whatever on like movies and things. And this one even takes it up. Like, they nailed the Gen Z and the fact that they're just like so bored. They're like, we get it. We know
Yeah.
everything. Like, we are
Yeah.
like bored in the best way with no one's dumb. They all are like super aware and cool and fun. And I'm like, yeah, baby. So I think as I watch 5 more, it'll probably just be like 4 and 5 or
Yeah.
Mine's a little bit different actually. I go 1, 5, 2,
wow.
4,
Yeah.
3.
Damn.
And the reason why is there's 2 things. My appreciation for 2 has kind of gone up a little bit, where like my appreciation of 4 has dropped just a little bit. I still think that they are all like, if we're ranking these on like 5 stars, like 1 is a 5-star movie, and then those 3 movies are all 4-star movies to me. Or like it's not like, oh, 4 is so bad now.
Yeah.
I think that 5 tries to do a lot of the same things that 4 was trying to do simultaneously, but I think 5 does a lot of those things better. I think it nails a lot of it better. There's something about the way that like the first 2 Scream movies are shot that can't be replicated. And
Mhm.
like brings me to like a very emotional place. So Scream 2 kind of bumped up a little bit for me the more I've watched
Yeah.
it because of that familiarity. And like I said, I think Scream 5 just is like immediately when I was watching Scream 5, I'm like, this is something special. And I
Yeah.
Oh,
know that
yeah.
there's always that element of like, when I watched Scream 4, I liked it, but I didn't feel like holy shit, this is the game changer for me
Mhm.
the way I felt with 5. Like, I walked
Yeah.
out of 5 and like I left 4 and I was like, that was fun. I left 5 and I like immediately called one of my friends who I know had seen the movie because I'm like, I need to talk about this movie
Yeah,
with
yeah.
somebody. Like, I think it just left such a big impact on me. And I also think that I gotta say, Scream 4, it pussied out. It didn't kill any of the main cast. Like,
Yeah.
I think that every movie from Scream on, you did the difficult thing. You killed Randy. You killed Cotton. And then 4, it was just like these fucking 45-year-old people are just surviving these teens. Like, I
Yeah.
think it missed it. I think that there's better emotional beats in 5, and I think it did a lot of what it was trying to do better. Again, 4 is still amazing. Like, it is a very wide drop from 4 to 3. but
Yeah.
Right.
but I think 5, I think that there is a world where one day I don't think that it's better than Scream, but I think that I could one day consider Scream 5 my favorite one to watch,
Okay.
which is
That's
wild for me
fair.
to say.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if I'll ever say that, but that's fair. And I guess I'll have to give my explanations here. And really quick, it's easy enough for me to say, you brought up earlier, Matt, that you don't need as much the whodunit kind of thing to love the movie. But I thought that 4 actually got me. Like, it actually
Yeah.
surprised me. Where 5, I was sitting there going, please, I want a third person so that I'm
You
surprised.
want
Like,
it
I
to be
want
wrong or
something. Like,
something.
I want something to get me. 4 got me. Like, 4,
Yeah.
you're literally sitting there, all these rumors that it's a new trilogy. Someone's going to take the mantle. Emma Roberts is going to take the mantle, this and that. Throughout the whole movie, you're still thinking that. And then her reveal, and I thought she was great being unhinged as the bad guy as well. I'm not going to say I loved the hospital scene where they're like fighting at the end, to keep Sid
Clear?
alive. Yeah.
Don't fuck with the original?
Yeah, well, that part I love, but it's so that to me was so good. Like that got me. Emma Roberts being revealed as the killer. I don't really care as much about who the second killer was. Emma Roberts being one of them was groundbreaking to me because, again, they got me. Now, when 5 came out, we're watching it, and I literally thought the entire time Richie and Amber were my top two, and then when it happened, I'm like, all right, give me something, give me something, give me something, and that was the only issue. The other thing I'll say about 4 versus 5, and you were bringing up how you thought that 5 did better what 4 was trying to do. That's funny because I don't necessarily disagree, but there is a lot of people online saying the opposite, thinking that 4 did better. And I don't have an opinion on that, but my thing was after going from 1, 2, and 3, and then we're hitting up 2011, and it's so different, like Kathleen's saying, and they went meta with the cameras and just everything that they did to make it more newer age. I just thought that was more of a like, whoa moment than 5, just because we've already had 4 doing a lot of it first.
Yeah.
But again, I loved all of them. The last thing, I have one more thing I want to talk about. I don't know how much longer we're going, but I do have something I want to talk to you guys about before we sign
All right,
off.
let's do it. Let's do it.
Okay. So we're assuming that there's going to be another movie or 2.
Mhm.
Okay. For me, I'll take another 37 Screams as long as they can figure out a way to make them entertaining. We have Sam, and the way they kind of portrayed her at the end was almost like she was ready to go unhinged a little bit, where she, sees Stu, or I keep doing that because I'm thinking Skeet. She sees Billy, and he says, get the gun or whatever, and they're struggling for it, and then she says to Richie, don't mess with a serial killer's daughter, and then just destroys him, like. Brutal destroying, right? And in my head, I was like, is there a world where we have future movies where maybe she actually goes unhinged and is not the protagonist anymore?
So I think I wasn't thinking that, but now that you've brought it up, as a child growing up when Scream was at its peak, right? Like being 13 or so when Scream 2 was coming out. As far back as Scream 2, everybody was saying Sydney's going to be the killer. Like people have been predicting that since Scream 1. That's a really, I didn't even think about it, but that's a really smart way to give people the Sid's going to be the killer twist that they've won it. Or act like they want anyway, with a character that's not Sydney, and makes total sense for them to go like I am totally on board if Sam is the killer in Scream 6.
Yeah, like Sydney's whole thing is like, I've been through
Kathleen
some
would love it because they'd kill that character.
And maybe she'd be more interesting, I guess. But I mean, honestly, with Sid, and I don't mean the actress, I mean the character. But like with Sid, the whole thing was like, maybe she's dealt with enough shit and she's just sick of it, so she becomes bad. But this thing is literally like they showed us this girl going nuts. Like, I actually was expecting her friends to walk up behind her and be like, whoa.
Well, that was, I think that I was thinking about this. When the movie ended, there was an unsettling element to me. Even when she got into the ambulance with Tara, where I was like, yo, is she about to fucking like
that is literally that's what I was waiting for when we're talking about 4 versus 5. Like I was like, is something crazy gonna happen in this ambulance to end the movie with Sam being bad or whatever it is? Like I was waiting for something. We didn't get it, but
the only thing that made me not think that was going to happen was, again, like I feel like this movie is very true to what Scream is, and like the Scream movies don't give you the twist ending,
right?
That,
they don't
like,
give you the next time.
Like they don't give you like you leave those movies feeling like, everything's okay and at peace.
Right.
But I was nervous. I was legitimately nervous that we were about to see Sam. Like I thought Sam was gonna fucking pull out a gun and shoot Courtney Cox. Like I was like, something is going to happen. So if that's what happens, if Scream 6 is Sam, I mean, they laid the groundwork there to make me buy that already. So
and I would like that.
Yeah, I would like it too. And again, like I said, I'm more on the line where Tara's the protagonist, the main protagonist, and then we have the twins. Just like you said, that's how you keep the group together, because Sam is older.
Yeah.
And it's not going to be.
I love that pitch.
Yeah, it's not going to be, hey, Sam, let's hang out with my little sister and the twins, and we're going to all go to parties together. Like, she's older. It won't work unless Tara's in trouble and Sam comes, like you said about Dewey. And now that we're on the topic, just one last thing. Amber really did not give a shit about keeping her cover when she totally was just like, I hate Sam. The entire
my God.
movie. Even when...
That was in the bar. In the bar, they're like, man, Sam was the coolest. And she's like, you don't know anything about Sam. Sam ain't
And in the
cool.
hospital, she's like, you suck. Like, I hate you. I'm going to kill you. Like,
I do love that Richie got the nickname Netflix, though. Like,
yeah.
For his shitty alibi.
I kind of kept thinking, like, what did Sam do? Like, I really thought there was going to be a deeper trauma than just being born. Like, I'm not saying there's not a trauma in accidentally outing to your father that he's not your father in front of your mother, and finding out at the same time that that is not your fucking father and he's a serial killer. Definitely trauma. I just really thought, like, something bad had happened. Like Amber knew something because she was Tara's best friend that the rest of them didn't know. But it really, I mean, I guess Tara,
Tara knew
Amber,
the secret, I guess.
Amber
somehow.
knew the secret.
Amber knew the
secret, and Amber, I guess her quote unquote, like, I'm Tara's friend and I know you left her. Kind of, she gives that explanation. So it's
you
fine.
Just abandoned
but
your
she
sister
really just,
in the middle of the
you
night.
would think that if she's
Dewey
trying
did.
to have a cover, she'd be like, all right, we're good, Sam, until I kill you later. But
I just want to say that I didn't like lay. I was up, I was down, I was cross-legged on my seat. I was like this, I was like that, I was fist pounding Jimmy. Like, you know what I mean? I was freaking out during this movie. And I don't know that I ever thought I was going to be able to get more Scream. Like, prior to the announcing that Scream was coming out. And I was just like, it was such a joy to be wondering and guessing and theorizing in theaters again for one of my favorite franchise of all time. And it was just bliss, delightful. Like, and if there's a 6, I'll love it. If there's a 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, I love it.
I get that there are people who are not going to see this in theaters because they're nervous about this, that, and the other thing.
Yeah.
And I'm worried that they're going to watch the movie and be like, I don't get it. Like, I don't get the hype around this movie because people are liking it so hard. Ghostbusters Afterlife just hit streaming, and I feel like across the board, everyone I spoke to who saw Ghostbusters Afterlife in theater like I did fucking loved that movie and talked about how great it was for like 2 or 3 months. And now that it's available on streaming, all these people are watching on streaming and are like, what fucking movie did you guys watch? Because this is bad.
Yeah.
And I'm really nervous that like people are going to hear how much the people who saw it in theaters liked Scream, that they're going to go in with this like extremely high expectation that is like impossible for any film to ever reach. And then there's going to be like, in a month or two when this hits streaming services, is going to just become that tidal wave of like negative Scream review.
I think they kind of screwed themselves by saying Scream as the title and not Scream 5.
Yeah.
Because if you're not a super fan, and even if you're not a fan and you just hear it's a good movie and you go watch it or you stream it, you need to know a lot of stuff to appreciate the
it'd
movie.
be like watching the newest Spider-Man movie if you've never seen a Spider-Man movie in your life.
So I don't know. It is definitely weird that they called it Scream. And
it's
a lot of
requel. Back to the beginning, baby.
Yeah, that's true. Okay. But still, it's not,
though.
Not
Totally.
enough.
It would be
You got to know these people behind me. You got to know them.
All right. Well, speaking of the people behind you, previously that was a Bingetown design before we changed it, but you're rocking a shirt. How about you tell the people watching a little bit about Bingetown before we sign off?
Yeah, we're Bingetown TV, 7 best friends covering sci-fi, fantasy television shows. Sometimes shows that we just like. We'll do anything, to be honest, but any sci-fi fantasy show that's been coming out, you name it, we've covered it. You let us know you want us to cover it, we will. We have normal Binge With Us series where we follow new shows that come out, whether it's a new show or the season, second season, third season. We follow them week to week, or we binge them on Netflix or a streaming service, and we cover them on the podcast. But then we also have 2 other series that we do. These are more the fan favorite ones. We have Rooks and Vets, and in that series we have a couple of our hosts who have never seen a show before. Those are the rookies. Watch the show with people who love the show, and those are our vets. And we get real-time reactions from the rookies, And this is good for people who are just rewatching, people who are watching the show for the first time. We don't let any spoilers out. We cover it as the episodes are going. It's super fun. It gives us a great appreciation for the shows we've already seen before. And then we have Pitchtown TV, which Kathleen, my lovely co-host right here, and Matt, are you on my, I guess you're on my right technically. Yeah, what are we doing here? They were a part, along with Matt's sister, with an awesome podcast that unfortunately had to finish, my favorite episode of. And as an homage to that podcast, we made a little bit of a spin off it, and we did Pitchtown TV. And with this series, we have a special guest, sometimes one of us, sometimes a special guest. One day Matt will be on, giving us one of his shows. But they pick a pilot of one of their favorite shows. We watch the show. As long as we haven't seen it, we get to be on the podcast. So we'll be the rookies. We watch the pilot for the first time. The special guest comes onto the show, pitches the show to us. We all discuss the first episode. And then at the very end of the episode, the rookies decide if they're going to binge immediately, if they're going to add it to the list, or if they are out and they have to give a reason why. Yeah. So that's our podcast, guys. Sci-fi fantasy. If you love the genre, come check us out.
Word.
All right. Well, thank you guys. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe to the video. We're a pretty cool channel that drops videos at least every Tuesday, sometimes more than that. Plenty of great videos. Jim helped us out with an awesome history of U.S. agent video at one point. And there's a lot of cool stuff coming up around the corner on the schedule. So stay tuned. Bye.
Bye.
Yeah.